Hello everyone. In this video, we will understand about Azure containers. Containers are virtualization environment, and this is a operating system virtualization platform. Containers are lightweight, scalable, and portable. Azure supports Docker as the container platform. Docker is an open source platform for running the container. So what is this container all about? If I take example of the virtual machine, this particular virtual machine requires virtualization platform, right? So I have the Hyper-V here. This Hyper-V needs hardware. So this is the hardware for the Hyper-V. So we have the hardware, we have the virtualization platform. On top of the virtualization platform, we have the virtual machine. On top of the virtual machine, we run the operating system. This operating system will be tied to one application. So if I am using Windows or Linux as an operating system, and on top of this operating system, I'll be running SQL database. So this operating system is tied to this particular database. If I am running any Python based application or Java based application, then the OS is tied to one particular application. The container solves the problem of running one application on one operating system. So that is why the container is called as OS level virtualization or operating system virtualization platform. We have the virtual machine, and on top of the virtual machine, we are running the operating system, and there can be one application. So each virtual machine is running an operating system, and it is running one application. What if I wanted to use application like Python and Java based application on the same operating system? Is it possible? So this is where the container comes into picture. Since container virtualizes the operating system, the virtual machine what we had, which was running the operating system with application, because this operating system what we had, it had the runtime for Python. Now on the same virtual machine, we can, this is the hardware on which the virtual machine is running. On the same virtual machine, we can run multiple containers. So this can be Python based container, this can be Java, this can be Node.js, and there can be another container which runs the .NET application. One more important concept of container is you take this container, if the container is running on the virtual machine which has the operating system of Linux, you take the same container and run the container on a Windows based operating system. So the container is very portable. You can take from Mac OS. This is coming from Linux. You can run the same container which was running on Linux. The same container can be run on Windows or Mac OS. Okay, now you can say, that is fine. I can run the container on Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. But how exactly we are able to run the containers? Let us understand how we are able to run the containers. To run the containers, we need something called as image. This particular image is toned down version of the operating system itself. So it contains very minimal file for the application to run. So basically it contains the libraries, the dependency, and the runtime for the application to run. That's it. It doesn't contain the files like the operating system. The operating system has huge files for multiple services like file services, DHCP, DNS. There will be so many services, and also there can be drivers, networking, video drivers, sound adapter drivers, and USB for multiple peripheral devices. You have drivers which comes with the operating system. All these files will not be available in the container image. It contains only the minimal files which will be able to run the given application. To run the PHP application, you have an image for PHP. So there is a PHP image. To run the Node.js, you have Node.js application, and there is an image for Node.js. To run SQL, you have MySQL image. So now we understood we have the image. Using this image, we are able to run the container, and this particular container we are able to run on virtual machine. So we can run the container on the virtual machine. There can be multiple containers which we can run on the virtual machine. To run the container on virtual machine or bare metal server, we need to just issue the command docker run and image with some parameters. If I wanted to map the port, I need to use the port mapping with P. These images which we use to create the containers are stored in something called as registry. These images are stored in a registry. There is a public registry for up.docker.com. So this is the repository for the images. There are many public images which are available in up.docker.com. We can simply use this up.docker.com repository and we can build our containers. The next question will be, can we build our own containers? Yes, we can take the base image and we can layer whatever files we want on top of this base image. And we can combine this as a package, this as a separate image. We can use this image to run our containers. For example, if I wanted to use the HTTPD image, which is nothing but the Apache image, which is web server image, if I wanted to modify the files of the HTTPD and then create my own image with the mount to store my files, which is user www, some files or index.html. So I wanted to use these parameters into my image. I can package the entire information into this image and I'll be able to run this image on my environment as a container. So what are the options which are available on Azure Cloud to run the containers? The first option is we can use IaaS as a service. We can build our own virtual machine, install Docker engine, and we can run the containers. The second method is to use the Azure Container Instance. This is the fastest way to build your containers. This is a PaaS based solution. There is no need for you to install the virtual machine. So you don't need to install the virtual machine. Create the ACI. You will be provided with an option to choose the registry. This registry can be up.docker.com and choose the image, or you can choose the private registry. which might be Azure Container Registry, to pull the image and to run the container. Azure Container Instance does not scale and it doesn't have much options like Azure Container Apps. When you create a container using Azure Container Instance, you will be provided with a FQDN. Using this FQDN or IP address, you will be able to access your container. Next one is using the Azure Container App. Using the container app, you need to create container app environment. You need to create the app environment. In this app environment, you will be able to scale. You will be able to deploy multiple versions using deployment slots. And there are multiple runtimes which are available to choose. The fourth method is to use Azure Kubernetes service. Azure Kubernetes service is a production grade container orchestration service wherein you can build thousands of containers and you will be able to manage, scale the deployments. When you use Azure Kubernetes as a service, you will be running the containers as a pod. So this will be the term which will be used in the Azure Kubernetes service. You will be able to scale, monitor, deploy multiple containers, and also you can have multiple replicas of the same pods. So in summary, container is a virtualization environment. It is an operating system virtualization platform. Container are lightweight, portable, and scalable. Azure supports Docker for the container platform. And there are multiple ways to deploy the containers in Azure Cloud, which we have discussed. Thank you for watching the video. If you like the content, please subscribe, share the video. Thank you and take care.